specifically alternate costumes. Last time we just looked at the base costumes. So let's get started,
Next
shall
up
we?
are my brother's suggestions.
Oh, shut up. Anyways, starting off with these, and yeah, a lot of these, like classics, I haven't purchased. I'm probably gonna try again a few more points. Purchase 3 of them in-game currency, but let's start off. First up, I'm not really feeling the costume on I actually like that color scheme. Also not bad. Overall, with some of these specific colors, I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10 overall. Especially with colors like yellow and blue, and the pink also is pretty good on her. So yeah, 7 out of 10. Pretty solid overall. This one. Mixed opinions. Overall, I'm gonna give this costume. I'll give it 5.5 out of 10. Ah, yes, this bison costume. I do like this a lot. It kind of feels like it came straight out of something like Dick Tracy. And I kind of like it, in all honesty. Ooh, I really like that black suit. But it feels like he came straight out of like a 1920s, 1930s monster movie. And I love it. Maybe because of my bias, and I feel like I could just picture him beating someone's ass around in this costume to like some Frank Sinatra music somehow. I don't know why it comes to my mind, but I'm gonna have to say I give this costume an 8 out of 10. I don't know why I love it so much, but I do. But like I said, I do have a weird fondness for monster stuff, so maybe that's why. This version, I gave like an 8 out of the base version of Balrog, but this one, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to give it a 5 out of 10. Not a fan. This Street Fighter 2 basically version. I do like this quite a bit. It is pretty nice overall. Or wait, no, this is actually more based around the Alpha costume, my bad. Yeah, because it makes him look a little more stocky and stuff. I do like it though. I'm gonna give this version of Bison. I'll give it probably I'll link somewhere around maybe a 7 out of 10. 6.5 to a 7 range. I do like it. It's not bad. And I didn't, unlike some people there, I didn't completely hate the stocky version of Bison from the Alpha series. Because the Alpha series is my favorite series of all. Basic Dhalsim, better than bearded Dhalsim. Overall, I'm going to give this one basic. I'll give it a 5.5 out of 10. I've never been the biggest Dhalsim fan. Yes, the good old wrestling references. This is nothing special though. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Sorry, Zangief. One of my favorite characters in the series. Oh wait. There we go. Nearly bought it. Whichever I will. Classic, basically Street Fighter 2 Bison costume. Especially in the blue scheme. I'm gonna have to give this classic Bison. It's gonna be a 7.5, 7.5 out of 10. This custom specifically with the blue variant, love it. I love the music. This specific track I love so Cannon Spike, which I love the fact this is a reference to the game Cannon Spike on the Dreamcast, which I have. Legit pretty cool, and I love Brendan Grayson's over, so probably the first out of the batch of costumes that I end up buying the in-game currency. For me, I'm gonna give this costume, especially with that color, but I'm gonna have to give this as a longtime fan of Cannon Spike game and a big longtime fan since Alpha 1 of Nash. I'm giving this somewhere between a 7 and a 7.5. Classic Vega. Honestly, I'll give it a 6.5. Because I don't mind Classic Vega. This, of course, is a reference to Balrog, or known as Mike Bison, whatever you want to call him, from Street Fighter 1 from 1987. That's the reference this costume is from. I'll give it also middle of the road, a 5 out of 10. Because I do like the reference. Classic. This is also a reference to Sagat from Street Fighter 1, original main boss. I'm gonna have to give it though a 4 out of 10. I'm not a fan of the color of the pants on him. Yes. Another Cannon Spike reference, since Cammy was also in Cannon Spike. And you could unlock characters like Mega Man and a few others, which I loved. Especially love this color scheme. But I'll be honest, with the Cannon Spike costume, which I think looks great on Cammy overall, I'm going to give this overall, though, probably a 7 out of 10. It is definitely solid, and I do like the rollerblades and stuff on it. If you ever have the opportunity to play Cannon Spike, try it out, but don't pay for a physical copy, because though I love it, it's not worth what it's going for now. This, not a fan. I'm gonna have to give this like a 4 out of 10. Possibly a 3.5. This looks at least a little better. Not much. Tier 1 will be a 3. I'll give this a 4.5. Sorry, Luke. I love you, don't get me wrong, though I didn't play last Street Fighter 6. I will say Luke is probably one of my favorite characters from it. Oh man, I love this costume so much. It's a nice reference to, of course, the classic Power Stone 1 and 2. I love this reference. And surprisingly, doesn't look half bad on the character either. Which is what surprises me. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna give the Falcon costume for Ken is gonna get probably about a 6.5 to a 7, because I do love the reference. It actually does not look that bad, the red especially. And this one, oh my word, this costume. I freaking love the Ruby Heart costume. It's so awesome. It's a great reference from Rose. Of course, I gotta say, I definitely like this color, probably the best. But yeah, this is actually really awesome. I love the fact acknowledging Ruby Heart from Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which I believe has remained exclusive to that game to this day. I'm going to give the Ruby Heart costume a 7.5 out of 10. It is solid, and I definitely like it. Oh my lord. Cyber Akuma costume. For those of you who may not know, Cyber Gume is one of my top 3 all-time favorite bosses from the Marvel vs. Capcom Marvel crossover games, or Capcom crossovers, whatever. I have a deep love for this costume, because this was legit. I thought the first really badass boss, and Akuma is my favorite character in the Street Fighter universe, and this costume is amazing. It looks legit really good. Motion also. I do think it looks a little better in Ultimate Marvel 3, but still it's incredible. The shiny and everything is great. Overall, I'm giving this, I don't care. This gets a 10 out of 10 perfect score for me. Bias, nostalgia is all heck. I'll admit it. Completely biased. I mean, it is my rate in the costume, so. Next up, swimsuits. I feel nothing for this. I'll give it 5, 5.5. We're really big on the kinks, aren't we, Capcom? Though not as bad as Team Ninja. It's still, not a fan of the costume. 5 out of 10. The Skullgirl costume actually, I think, is a bit more suitable for her. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. This costume, however, may look dumb to some people, but I do love it and everything. This is probably my favorite costume ever. I'll give this a 7.5. This is trash. Sorry. This is a 2 out of 10. This is a 2.5 out of 10. What the heck? I'm sorry, this is a 3 out of 10. I don't like the color scheme either. Sorry, Sid. This does not look right on her. 3 out of 10. This Vega costume is interesting, but still probably the best color scheme with the trench coat and stuff, but I'm gonna give this 4.5 to a 5. It still looks kind of weird on Vega. I'm gonna give this costume a 5 out of 10. I'm sorry, no. 4 out of 10. What now, Rose? Interesting. I'll give it a 5 out of 10 to a 5.5. Yeah, I'll give it a 5.5. Interesting. Okay, I actually don't mind this. Not that. It's not as bad. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Definitely not. 2 out of 10. Gee, what on earth? fan. But then again, I gave the Abraham Lincoln costume like an 8 out of 10. So yeah, not a fan of this one. This is going to be a 3 out of 10. Jury. I actually think this costume is better than her base costume and a lot of her other costumes. I'll give this version of Jury, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. At least it's more positive. 4 out of 10. Here we go. One of the better classics, the Killer Bee. I'm gonna give Killer Bee costume 6.5 out of 10. This is actually better than her base costume, I'll be honest. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I like the whole, life cover. Interesting, Minot. I'm gonna give this costume for Minot, not as good as her base, but still, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. A race car driver. I'm sorry, Ed. 3 out of 10. Here we go. A better classic nostalgia costume. This one, I'm gonna have to give a 7 out of 10 for Nostalgia Dan. Definitely one of the higher so far. Oh my goodness, I love this reference. Specifically individuals like Mr. Karate. I love this so much. This is gonna get a 7 out of 10. No, screw it. I'll give it a 7.5 just because I love the reference. And it actually doesn't look half bad either. This. No, I'm sorry. I love the humor and everything. Don't get me wrong, Dan, but this is a 1 out of 10. Alrighty, I don't mind it overall. I'm gonna give this costume, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. What on earth? I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 10. I'm sorry. Oh my word, this is hilarious. Sally, don't get a good look of the face, which sucks. But just this alone. I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10 just for the humor. It's so dumb looking, but it's hilarious, especially given this skill. I could picture him doing this when playing theater in front of his minions or something. Okay, this is very 1980s cyberpunk, that's for sure. Okay, I'll be honest, with something like that, or some, well, this is the first passable one. I'll give this one, I'll give this, still not great, I'll give it a 5.5. That's so far the best set that's done. Ooh, classic set. Now this is at least better. Classic Seth, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. Definitely the best looking version. Okay, this is actually not that bad. The whole ninja costume actually suits for once. This is probably the best overall. I'll give that version of Seth like a 6.5. This is gonna be a downgrade. This is a 5.5. Whoa. Yeah, that's right, the Pyron costume. Oh my word, this is awesome. And it actually looks really cool on him with the effect and everything. I'm gonna be honest. The Gil Pyron costume gets a 9 out of 10. It's easily one of my favorites in the game. 9 out of 10. Second highest so far. And the Roman Gil, which is not bad. I'll give Roman Gil a 7 out of 10. It's not bad. Now we got Greek or Roman Gil. 5 out of 10. Now that's kind of funny looking. I'm sorry. At best a 5, at lowest a 4. So, around that. Okay, this poison isn't nearly as bad as the other costume. Compared to base, it's way better. Still though, I'll give it a 5.5 at best. Oh gee. Holiday G. I'll admit I actually legit kind of like this. I'm gonna give Senagy. Yeah. G-Claws gets a 7 out of 10 to a 7.5. Yeah, I'll give it an even 7 out of 10. Not bad. Thank you, G-Claws. What on the earth? This is horrible. This is a 1 out of 10. I don't like it at all. Ooh, I kind of like this poison costume. This actually suits poison. It's not that bad. It's probably the best costume for her. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. At least she's passable. She actually looks better in the Halloween costume. Rashid. Baseball. Rashid. I'll give baseball. Rashid. I'll give it a... I'll give it a 5.5 to a 6 range. It's not horrible. Definitely better than some of the others. No, I'm not feeling it. 4 out of 10. No, not a fan. 3 out of 10. Or 2, around that range. Okay, 4 out of 10. Out of 10. Way too much crap on that. okay, I'll admit, this is maybe her best. Just about. I especially like the pink and black. I'm gonna give this an even 5 out of 10. Right down the middle. Basically, Honda, 4 out of 10. Ooh. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. Kind of like this traditional more kimono and stuff for E-Honda. I'm gonna give this one, I'll give this E-Honda a 5.5 out of 10. Okay, Businessman E-Honda, 6 out of 10. He legit looks like he's in the mafia. Uh, 2 out of 10. Sorry, Poison, unless your costumes are horrible outside of maybe one so far. Your Halloween costume has been your best. Also, like a 2 out of 10. Okay, that's actually not bad. Definitely better than most of our others. I'll give this costume for Poison. Yeah, I'll give her this one. I'll give it 5.5. Give this costume. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give this costume a 7 out of 10. I'll give this a 6 out of 10. Oh my word, this is awesome. This looks like a reference straight to, like, I would say, kind of reminds me of Macho Man Randy Savage when he was going through that era with the more biker look and stuff towards the later end of WCW. I'm gonna have to give this costume, legit, as a long-time wrestling fan, and given at least I get some of these references, I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. I like it. I'm sorry, no. 3 out of 10. Oh man, the roll costume. Oh man, I love this so much. Especially being a lifelong Mega Man fan. 4X and Legends, but still, I love the reference. I love the roll costume. Actually, it suits her pretty well. I'm going to give the roll costume a 7.5 out of 10. 7.5. Yeah, that's right. Mega Man Ryu. Man, this is awesome. I'm gonna have to give this, honestly, partially out of all good laughs and stuff, I'll give this like a 7 out of 10. This is the first time that this character actually looks legit cool. He looks like he's ready to fight in Ashura's Wrath. I'm gonna have to, or he came straight out of like stuff in Hinduism. But this is legit cool. I'm gonna give this costume actually like an 8 out of 10. I legit love it. It's actually really cool. And now we trying to make him look more like Evil Ryu, I guess. Sorry, no, doesn't work. 5 out of 10 at best, or a 4. Okay, this is maybe the best Cody's look so far. I'll be honest. I'll give Christmas Cody. I actually like the green and red, like that. I'll give this like a 7 out of 10. It's actually not bad. This one, however, does not hit the mark. Sorry. This is a 4 out of 10. What on earth? Okay, out of pure just good humor and a good laugh, even if it does look really dumb, I'll give this a 6 out of 10 for at least give me a chuckle. It passes. This one, I'm sorry, no. This is gonna be a 5 out of 10 at best. Colleen. Okay, I kind of liked it. I like this Colleen costume. Especially in that's always been like my favorite color scheme for this costume. I'm going to give this Colleen costume reference, yeah, to Ada, which I do appreciate the Ada Wong reference. I'll give this, honestly, I'll give this costume 6.5, 6.5 out of 10. Ooh. Jen dressing up in Wesker cosplay actually looks pretty cool. I'll admit, I like this. I'll give Wesker version Urian. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give this like a 7 to a 7.5 out of 10. I actually like it a lot. And he actually looks pretty badass in it. This one, I'm not feeling. I'm not feeling the Jill costume as much, however. It doesn't translate as well, I think, for Cammy. Though I get it, but it just didn't translate well in actual look. I'm gonna have to give this about 5.5. Okay, now this costume is pretty cool looking. She looks like she just came out of... Honestly, she looks like she just came from Innistrad in Magic the Gathering universe. She looks like she legit became a vampire and she's been living in Innistrad. And it looks like Liliana of the Veil actually did the clothes shopping for her, which actually helps her. Because, well, I love Liliana. One of my top 5 favorite planeswalkers of all time in Magic. I'm gonna have to give this costume legit an 8. No, screw it, I'm giving this a 9 out of 10. I love it so much. It looks so awesome. I love the... If anybody knows me, knows I love classic traditional vampires and horror. So yeah, it's no surprise that I gave that such a high. This is probably the best costume, I'll be honest, for Abigail. Yeah, I'm gonna give this Abigail costume 6.5 out of 10. I'm not an Abigail fan, but at least it's passable. And it looks way better in his base, which I gave like a 2 out of 10. So yeah, I'll give this a 6.5. Colleen. Which Colleen? I'm gonna give which Colleen? Yeah, 6.5 out of 10. I'm sure there's a lot of people, specifically guys out there, who give that costume a lot more. Zombie Guile. Partially out of just a good laugh, somewhat, I'm gonna give Zombie Guile a 6 out of 10. I'll be honest, I do like a lot of the Halloween costumes. Oh man, that's right. The Felicia costume. Floating hairball. Nice humor there, Capcom. And the costume actually looks legit really good on her as well, I'll be honest. I'm gonna give... I actually kinda like that green hair. I'm gonna give this costume partially because of being a lifelong Darkstalkers fan, and Felicia is one of my favorite characters in that universe. On top of Menat being one of my favorite characters in Street Fighter V, I'm gonna give Felicia, Menat, yeah, I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. Because it actually translated very well. However, I'm sorry. I mean, it's not bad, but at best, I'll give this costume a 7 out of 10. Mostly because I do love Dmitri, definitely Dmitri Maximov. He is one of my top 3 most played characters in Darkstalkers. He is probably my favorite character in Darkstalkers. Sorry, Morgan. Even if it does look depressed still, yeah, I'll give it a 7 out of 10 because it is Dmitri Maximov. And looking back, I think I may actually end up raising the knots from somewhere between an 8 and an 8.5. Next up we have Sean Morrigan. Personally, I'm not as big a fan of this. I don't think it translated as well as some of the others. I do like the Lilith color though. But I'm gonna have to give this... I'll give it a 6.5. This one I'm not feeling as much. I'm sorry. It looks like you're going to like a goth dance. I'm gonna give this one like a 5.5 out of 10. And this pretty funny. I'll give this one a 6 out of 10. Okay, I'm gonna give this one, unfortunately, about a 5. Armika. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give this Armika costume, sorry, 4 out of 10. What on earth? I'm not really feeling it. This is gonna have to be... probably about 3 out of 10. I'll give this one a 5 out of 10. Sports Sakurai. I'll give this a 5.5. Oh man, this costume. I'm gonna have to give this one. I'll give this costume 6.5 out of 10. Part of me wants to give it a 7, but I feel it doesn't really should give a 7, so 6.5. Next up, costume. I'm gonna have to give the costume about a 5.5. Sure. Yeah, no. 5 out of 10. Classic cigar. Okay, this one, nostalgia costume, is gonna get. I'll give this costume a. Somewhere I'm leaning between a 6.5 and a 7 out of 10 for classic cigar. Not feeling this one. 4 out of 10. Still not big enough. 4.5. Oh, Farmer G. I'm gonna get this version of G. Yep, I'll give this G costume 6.5, 6.5 out of 10. I kind of want to give it a 7 because I actually like it. It's unique there. All this costume. If it was just this by itself, it would probably be about a 5.5 or something. But because of the references, one, this reference alone would probably jump to about a 6 to a 6.5. However, there is one other outfit. This one, I don't know what happened. Like, it used to have a much brighter green mask and stuff with it. Unless somebody said something due to copyrights or something, but he literally did look exactly like the mask, like green. Which I give this like a. Though now it looks more like just Dick Tracy with a mask, but still, I give this about a 7 out of 10. And this one. Nero costume. I'm gonna have to give this one the Nero costume. I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. And I'm gonna get ready to cut this video up in a minute. And then we'll finish it the next one, part 3. But here we go. One of my personal favorites, Dante Kim. I'm gonna have to give this costume. Yeah, this costume gets like an 8 out of 10. I actually like it quite a bit. Because at least he doesn't have the banana hair. Classic Cody. 3 out of like Final Fight. I'm gonna give Classic Cody like a 5, 5.5. Then Alpha Cody. do appreciate the reference, but still, like a down the middle 5 out of 10. Bond. I will say, this actually looks pretty cool on Cody. This one I'm gonna have to give Bond Cody. Yeah, I'll give this one a 7 out of 10. This one is really dumb. Looks so stupid. 3 out of 10. Next up. The carrot. This one I'm gonna have to give just a basic 5 out of 10. Yes. This one is probably my favorite costume for him. Well, second favorite costume with Vega. I'd probably give this one about a 6 out of 10. I do like the whole look, like he came straight from Barcelona. This one, no, not a fan. 4 out of 10. This one isn't too bad. I'm gonna give this one about 5.5 to 6. No, sorry, doesn't work for me. 4.5. Lilith Shuri. Portions don't look right, I'll be honest. I'm gonna give Lilith Shuri 6 out of 10. Urian. Donovan. Actually, legit looks pretty good on him, I'll be honest. I'm gonna give this costume. This gets a 7 out of 10. This is kind of funny. I guess it does go with the Egyptian team. I'm gonna have to go give this costume. Yeah, I'll give this costume a 6 out of 10. And that's it for this game.